Hi everybody, today we are going to study chapter 4 Working of Institution. My name is Sneha Sharma and I am your civics educator. So first of all, we have to understand what is a government audit. On August 13, 1990, the Government of India issued an office memorandum that has 27% of vacancies in civil posts were reserved for the SEBCs. What is SEBCs here? That is social and economic backward classes. So the benefit of job reservation, which was open to SC and STs earlier, was made open to a third category, that is SEBCs. All right. So SEBCs were social and economic backward classes, and you all have to remember it. They have got 27% of vacancies. Alright, others could not compete for these jobs otherwise. Alright, the decision maker. The president is the head of the state and the highest formal authority in the country. Alright, the prime minister is the head of the government and exercises all governmental powers. Parliament consists of the president and two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Alright. So the Prime Minister must have the support of the majority of Lok Sabha members. It is very essential and you all should remember it. Now we have this Mandal Commission. So Mandal Commission, the government appointed the second backward classes commission headed by B.P. Mandal. That is why the Mandal Commission got its name, because of its head. Alright. So in the year 1979, in the 1989 election, the Janata Dal, alright, promised to implement the Mandal Commission that was in power. Alright. Now we have implementation of Mandal Commission report. Alright. So how did it happen? First of all, the president's announcement took place. Alright. So president announced the intention of the government to implement the report. On 6 August 1990, what happened? The Union Cabinet took a formal decision to implement the recommendation. Then came VP Singh announces the bill in Parliament. What happened? The Prime Minister, VP Singh was the Prime Minister back. So Prime Minister VP Singh informed the Parliament about this decision through a statement in both the houses of Parliament. The decision of the Cabinet was sent to the Department of Personnel and Training. So now we have Indrasani and others versus Union of India case. The Supreme Court of India bunched all these cases together. This case was known as Indrasani and others versus Union of India case. Alright. So 11 judges, highest bench of judges was formed here. So 11 judges of the Supreme Court heard arguments of the both sides. By a majority, the Supreme Court judges in 1992 declared that this order of the government of India was invalid. Was valid actually. Initially it was thought it is invalid, but it is very well valid. At the same time, the Supreme Court asked the government to modify its original order. It said that well-to-do persons among the backward classes should be excluded from getting the benefit of reservation. Accordingly, the Department of Personnel and Training issued another office memorandum on September 8, 1993. Alright. So what happened? That you must have heard that there is a creamy layer in OBC caste. Why? Why there is a creamy layer? Because even in the backward classes, some are very well to do and very well off. So why they should get reservation? They have been economically advanced, socially acceptable. So now they come under creamy layer. They have got job. Some of them are in civil services as well. So now it's okay for them to get rid of the reservation. All the cases filed against this order was clubbed together. In this case, you all have heard the largest bench of judges was did observe everything that happened in the court and listen to the arguments in favor and in against. And in 1992, what happened? The Supreme Court declared that the government order was valid. All right. So, need for political democracy. A democracy works well when these institutions perform functions assigned to them. Alright, the constitution of any country lays down basic rules on the power and functions of each institution. Institution involves rules and regulations, and there is commitment and routine. This often leads to, because there are so many institutions that have a negative implication, that it might lead to delay and complication. Therefore, dealing with institutions can be frustrating. Institutions make it difficult to have good decisions taken very quickly, but they also make it equally difficult to rush through a bad decision. So, when you are studying all of this, you must be thinking that why there are so many institutions, why is there absence of one good leader who can decide it for themselves, everything in the benefit of the country, just like your parents. So parents are the good decision makers for a child. So sometimes whatever parents, some children are like that, my parents think that, my parents views are this, and we will work accordingly. But why there is no such leader for the country? The thing is that it might happen that just because of the presence of only one leader, we might rush into bad decisions, and we don't want it, because we don't want the entire population to face the repercussion of it. All right. So there are multiple institutions which help in decision making. It could be Prime Minister and the Cabinet take all important policy decisions. Civil servants are responsible for implementing the minister's decision, and Supreme Court settles disputes between citizens and government. So you see, it is legislature, this is executive, and this is judiciary. All right. Now we have parliament. What are the functions of parliament and all that we are going to study. All right. All right. So Parliament. Parliament is a body of representatives. The Parliament influences and shapes the decisions of the government. So there are certain functions of the Parliament. Parliament is the final authority for making laws in any country. Parliament all over the world exercises some control over those who run the government. Parliament controls all the money that government have. Parliament is the highest forum of discussions and debates on public issues and national policy in any country. So you can see this is a huge place where discussions and deliberations took place. Why do we need a parliament? Therefore, there must be some urgency that we need a parliament. No. So what is the function? It is a final authority, as we have already discussed. It exercises control over those who run the government. It controls the money that government have. It is the highest forum of discussion on public issues and national policies. All right. Now we have come to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So there is an upper house and then there is a lower house. Lower house is Lok Sabha, upper house is Raj Sabha. So the view of Lok Sabha is likely to prevail in the cases where differences arise. Alright, so here are much of discussions and deliberations and differences as well. Lok Sabha exercises more powers in money matter. Alright, so like the lower houses, money matters, money bills are passed in Lok Sabha, while in Raj Sabha cannot reject money bills. All the money bill comes to Raj Sabha for review. Raj Sabha has to say, yeah, this is all right, good, done, very nice, and it is then forwarded to president, and president then has a say on it. The Lok Sabha controls the Council of Ministers. So you see how is Raj Sabha? It has limited people, that is 245 people. Lok Sabha has 543 people. Raj Sabha is known as Council of State. Lok Sabha is known as you can understand through the name, that is House of People. Alright, Lok Sabha, House of People. Raj Sabha, Raj is state, so Council of State. Now we have political executive. There are some political executives and there are permanent executives. What do executives do? Executives are responsible for the implementation of the work and the programs launched. Alright, so executives, when there are political executives, you will have PM and ministers working under him. Permanent executives would have your IAS, IPS and all would come in permanent executives. So the permanent executives have civil services. Alright, so these have all the IAS, PCS come in civil services. Works under the political executives under elected representatives. So these are elected representatives. They can be your leaders, political leaders. Alright. So the question is, why is the minister more powerful than the civil servant? This is your question. Can you all answer it? I'm giving you a moment to think over it. So the reason is very simple. In a democracy, the will of the people is supreme. So the minister is elected by the people and thus empowered to exercise the will of the people on their behalf. And the leader is finally answerable to the people for all the consequences of its decision. So the minister decides the overall framework and objectives in which decisions on policy should be made. The minister is not and is not expected to be an expert in the matters of his or her ministry. The minister takes the advice of experts on all technical matters, and these experts are your permanent executives. All right. So the minister takes the advice of them, but very often experts hold different opinion or place before her more than one option. So permanent executives have a variety of options and all, and depending on what all the overall objective is, the minister decides. So that is why minister is more powerful than the civil servant. Alright, I hope you all get it. Now we have Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. So you see, Prime Minister is the most important political institutions in the country. Council of Ministers is the official name for the body that includes all the ministers. You can see here. It usually has 60 to 80 ministers of different ranks. So there are different ranks in ministry also. Some ministries are far more important than other ministries. So cabinet ministers are usually top level leaders of the ruling party, a party who's in charge of the major ministries. Usually the cabinet minister mean to take decisions in the name of the Council of Ministers. Cabinet is thus the inner ring of the Council of Ministers. It comprises about 25 ministers. Alright? And Minister of State with independent charge are usually in charge of smaller ministries. They participate in the cabinet meetings only when specially invited. And ministers of states are attached to and required to assist cabinet ministries. So you can see that cabinet is much more important than other ministries. Alright? Now we see. Okay. Power of Prime Minister. What is the power of Prime Minister? As the most important political institution, the Prime Minister coordinates the work of different departments and has the final say in case of disagreements rise between departments. Alright, so there are different chair cabinet meetings and where he coordinates the work of different departments. And his decision is a very final in case, and that is all that matters. He exercises general supervision of different ministries. All ministers work under his leadership. And distribution and redistribution of work to the ministers is done by him. He has the power to dismiss ministers, and when the Prime Minister quits, the entire ministry dissolves. They all have to quit. They do not have any other option. Now we are learning about the President and what are his powers. So now we have Kovind sir as a President. The President is the head of the state and exercises only nominal power. Alright? He is elected by the members of parliament and state legislature. Alright. So all government activities take place in the name of President. So that is why these are just nominal powers. All laws and major policy decisions of the government are issued in his name. All major appointments are made in the name of the President. The President is the supreme commander of the Defence Forces of India. You all should remember it, because who is the supreme commander of the Defence Forces of India? He is the President, whosoever he is. Alright? But we should remember that the President exercises all these powers only on the advice of Council of Ministers. And Council of Ministers are headed by Prime Minister at times. Alright? Now we have a different presidential system. So in some countries, President is the supreme head, and President is the one who acts like Prime Minister in different other countries. Alright, so he is the executive head, but in our country it is not. Alright, in many countries of the world, the President is both head of the state and head of the government. The people directly elect the President in such a system. So like US has a presidential system. US President is directly elected by the people. He personally chooses and appoints all ministers. The lawmaking is still done by the legislature called the Congress in the US. So we have a party as Indian National Congress, but the lawmaking body is known as Congress, legislature. But the President can veto any law. So you have a veto power now. If you can say no to any law, that law won't be followed and that law won't come into force. Alright? So most importantly, the President does not need the support of the majority of members in the Congress, and neither is answerable to them. He has a fixed tenure of 4 years and complete it even if his party does not have the majority in the Congress. Congress is the legislature. Alright? So this model is followed by most of the countries of Latin America. So when we talk about Latin America, it's majorly South America we are talking about. Alright? And many of the ex-Soviet Union countries, alright. So given the centrality of the President, this system of government is known as the presidential form of government. Ours is not the presidential, we are the parliamentarian form of government. Alright. Now we have come to the very important aspect, an independent organization or independent organ of our country, that is the judiciary. Alright. So, as I have introduced about judiciary, the fun factor used was independence or independent judiciary. So, independence of the judiciary means that it is not under the control of the legislature or the executive. The judges do not act on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. That is why all modern democracies have courts that are all independent of legislature and the executive. So, independent powerful judiciary is considered essential for democracy. Supreme Court, High Courts have the power to interpret the Constitution. And you can see the topmost court is Supreme Court, then comes your High Court, then is District Court, and then are your subordinate court. So, we can see Supreme Court. The senior most judge of the court is usually appointed by the usually appointed as CJI, and the president appoints him. Alright, in consultation with the CJI. So it is also called as collegium, you can call it. So this process is like with discussion and deliberation, they decide who is gonna be the CJI, and it's conventionally it is a senior most. So constitutional parts of the judiciary are: it interprets the constitution of the country, it determines the constitutional validity of any legislation or action of the executive, that is judicial review. It is the guardian of the fundamental rights. You can say the basic fundamental rights, the basic principle of our constitutions are guarded by judiciary. Protects public interest. So you also can file PLI, that is public interest litigations, PIL. All right, PIL, and prevent misuse of powers by the government. So these are the functions of judiciary. Alright, so today we have discussed about different parts and different organs of our system, that is of our country system, that is executive, judiciary, legislature, and we have discussed in detail about Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, and permanent and political executives, and the judiciary, and different tiers of judiciary. And we have also discussed about Indrasani and others versus Union of India case. So these are all the things that you have to remember from the exam point of view, and you can re-watch the video for conceptual clarity. We will meet again in the next video. Till then, take care, stay safe. Bye.